welcome to my channel built by Ben. Today we're going to be hanging this garage door in the back here and fitting a new frame as well. We're going to be using the Robin Clevett Hinge Jig, which I've had for years. Robin has very kindly promoted one of my videos before, and he's going to promote this one for me as well, so thanks Robin. I've used these for a long time now, as you can see by the wear and tear on them. It's a great product, which is why I used them in the first place, and that's also why I contacted Robin to help me with my YouTube channel in the first place. So thanks Robin, and let's get fitting this door. Before we get started, if you do like what you see on the channel, subscribe to it, tell your mates about it, and chuck a comment in the comment section if you've got any questions. It really helps me out to have some feedback, so even if you just like the video or you don't like the video, just leave me a comment so I can improve. Nice one. Okay, so our first job to do is just to assemble the frame. Just going into the bottom here with some 4x50 screws. Just attach the seal first. Okay, so that's our frame. We'll get the old one out now and get this one in. Okay, so that's all tidied out, and we'll just get this new frame in there and have a look where we stand. So that fits in there nicely. Just going to get some packers underneath that, jack it right up to the top, and then we can get some fixings into the wall. Temporarily we're just going to get this bit of seal under here just to hold that up tight. A good thing to do at this stage is just to check that it's the same distance to the front of the brickwork all the way round, and if it's not, we just want to be spacing it out slightly in places. It's looking reasonably good to me. So what we'll do is we'll just drill some holes into the side of the frame here, and then we'll go through with our masonry bit into the brickwork and get them fixed in. Now we've got 5x100mm screws here. We've got about 30mm of frame to get through, and then the rest will go in the brickwork. So we want a good fix in with these, keep them nice and strong, make sure that the door gets hung properly, doesn't move about. Nice and strong. And we just want to be getting a level up here to check that you haven't pulled it in too much, or if it's bowing out a bit, because then we can get the door on nice and straight. Right, so we've got that frame fitted and we just need to bench the door now and start trimming that down ready to fit into the frame. So we'll just get this door opened up and we'll have a look at trimming it down to suit the frame. Right, so the customer's got a half glass one to go in the garage. We keep the cardboard on the bench at this point because it's just protecting that from getting damaged at all if we're dragging it around at all. So we're just going to have a quick little measure up and see how it's going to fit into the frame that we've already fitted. Right, so it looks like the size is going to fit without any trimming, so we'll just give it a quick go. Okay, so it fits really nicely in there. All we're going to do is just trim a little bit off of the bottom so that it doesn't sit too tight to the seal. You don't want it sitting too tight because otherwise you get capillary action that will draw the water into the building rather than let it go out. So we just want to take about 3 mil off the bottom there so that we've got a nice little bit of clearance. Okay, so we'll just go over the bottom of that lightly with the sander and then we'll get some hinges on it. Okay, so we've dropped our door into our stands at the bottom there. We've marked our hinges. It's a good idea to just make sure that your hinges aren't going to coincide with any of the screws that you put in the frame there. Obviously when we're chopping out the wood in the frame to take the hinge, we don't want to be hitting any of them screws, so we'll just mark these out, make sure that they're going to miss the screws in the frame, and then put across where you want to cut the hinge into the door, and then you can't get confused with it. We're not cutting them in different places, in the wrong places. So this is where this hinge jig comes in, that Robin Clevett makes. You can see here that hinge just fits in there nicely. So in order to get that hinge to sit on there nicely, all we're going to do is we're going to clamp this onto the side of here in the position that you want your hinge cut into, and then we're going to use the mini router just to go round there. We set the depth to the depth of the hinge, and then we're going to have some nice clean hinge holes for that. So the best thing to do at this point, I'll try and make it so that you can see it properly. So we've just dyed that through. What we've done is we've put this on top so that we can see that the blade sticks out. the same depth as the hinge there, and that way we can keep it nice and tight, nice and tidy. And all we're going to do is just clamp this hinge to the door to line up with your marks that you've already put on there. Just going to use a couple of Irwin clamps for this. And then the router's loaded up with a trimmer that Robin Clevett also sells, which I'll put a link for in the description. So we know then that we've just got to run that around that template, and then our hinge should fit exactly. We'll give that a quick shake off, just check that that sits in there nicely. And then what I've got here is a trend corner chisel, because when you hit it, it just brings out that 90-degree chisel there. So you just offer that into the corner, give it a tap, same again in the other corner. And then we just take a small chisel and just take that little corner out there. Now I'll grab the camera, just show you how well that goes. Nice tight fit. That's the benefits of using this hinge jig. I've been using it for years now. It's a brilliant thing. And then we'll just use a centre drill bit to take that in there, and then we've got another 2 to cut there, and then we'll get this door hung. So we're just going to go in the centre of that, take the hammer off, that might help. And we've got some nice black screws with these hinges, because the customer's going dark with the colour. There we go, there's a fitted hinge. So we'll just fit the other 2 and then we'll get it hung. Okay, so now what we want to do is we just want to transfer them hinge measurements onto the frame here. We've got 161, 940 and 1712 to the top of each hinge. But obviously you want that 2-3mm clearance at the top there, so we're just going to add 3mm onto each of these, make that mark, and then that's the top of each hinge. Okay, so that's all the hinges cut out. I've just got something that's roughly the same height as the sill so that we can get our airbag on there. We're just going to offer the door in and see if we're right. Okay, so it's probably just a touch too high actually, but what we can do is just get one of the screws in the top. Just so that ain't going anywhere. And then we can just ease it off at the bottom there. And lower that bottom hinge in. Then we can flat that middle hinge in. Get one in there as well. And that just allows us to shut the door and test it. As you can see, that's a nice fit. We just need to trim up the side there with a planer, just a touch. Give it a leading edge, and then that should close nicely. Okay, so the last thing to do is just fit this code lock onto this garage door. We've got this latch to go in, a tubular latch. So we just want to be seeing whereabouts we want that code lock to sit. And then wherever the latch goes corresponding to this, we just mark that out, and that's our position. So we're bang in the centre of the mid rail here, and then in the centre of that mark we're going to go in with a 24mm spade bit. And what we want to be doing on there is just offering the spade bit up next to the latch to see what sort of depth we had to go to. And what we can do is just make a mark onto the spade bit there. And once we get to that mark in the door, we know that we can stop. Right, so now all we've got to do, just draw around that latch plate. We know that we've got to get that depth into the door. It looks about 4 mil, so we'll just cut that out with a hammer and chisel back to 4 mil until that's nice and flush. Okay, so the circular latch now fits in now really nicely, nice and flush. Now that that's fitted, you can mark out the distance from the front of the plate to the spindle here. Mark that on the front and the back of the door. And we're just going to go through from both sides with a 12mm spade bit. Just want to go through into the void for the circular latch there, and then from the other side we do the same. And then what we can see here, if I just grab the camera, as you can clearly see through the hole there, we've then got the spindle. Okay, and then we pop the spindle in the back of this. That sits there, and then I'll leave it to the customer to key in the code, and then I'll just screw it all together. Okay, and then all we've done is we've marked for our keep to go on the side of the frame there. I've just put 2 marks on the front where the tubular latch centres to. So we're just going to chop all this out, and then I'll show you once it's fitted. Okay, so that's the finished door. We've just put a temporary code on here so that we can show you guys at home how that works. There we go. Okay, so that's it for this week's episode on Built by Ben. The door's all fitted, that's ready for the customer to decorate. Then we'll do a mastic seal around the edge after it's decorated. We don't tend to mastic them before it's decorated because otherwise the paint won't take to that area. So yeah, that's all ready. Thanks again to Robin Clevett. If you do fancy one of these jigs, you can pick them up on his website, which I'll stick a link in the description for. I'll also put the link there for the router piece that I used. So thanks again, Robin, for promoting this video for me. Hope you liked this week's episode. If you did like it, subscribe to the channel, tell your mates about it, and if you've got any questions or if you want me to do a video on any particular thing, then leave it in the comments and I'll get back to you. Cheers.